In this video I'm going to show you, and probably with the part 2 because it's a lot of stuff to cover, I want to show you something that's not difficult for people to do if they, as I have, take the time to look into the issues and question things. Checkmate 3 atheists at the same time when they attack on the same day. The first was, now the context of this was under this video from some hours ago, where, by the way, I said atheism is devoid of reason because it's the belief that mindlessness created genius ultimately, which is alchemy to an absurd extreme, absurdity to an absurd extreme, but that's atheism. So Il Giuro, whom I have had the displeasure of dealing with before because he's so dishonest, although he begins in a civil way, it usually I think doesn't end that way, or he just stops responding when he's checkmated, as here. Look, just you can pause just to read what he says. I respond to what he says and usually quote everything that he says, so you can pause to see what he says. I said, so one of the things he said was that agnostics do believe in some God, and then, hold up, he said that you can be a theist and an agnostic at the same time. But they don't really believe in God if they doubt. To doubt means they don't really believe. Doubt and belief are opposites. You don't know basic language. If you were a cop and you had a person in handcuffs and they told you to free them, but you said, I believe you are honest, yet kept them restrained, then your word wouldn't match your action. You're a hypocrite. As for his allegation that I call everyone liars, no, because not everyone is called a liar, and I don't just call, I prove when people are liars. I don't just talk as he does. I notice you expect me to believe you exist when I haven't seen you, you hypocrite twofold. Would it be rational to believe a cat typed what you did? So this he does not answer later, you'll see. God willing. Atheist fanatics claiming you can be agnostic while being a theist are just trying to make religious people see themselves as atheists in order to more easily convert them to your delusion. It's the same tactic of rejecting most gods makes you an atheist, so you're already one. Identify with us then. Let's get more converts here to our delusion. Note, I'm not calling atheism a religion. I know it's not, but it has some quasi-religious vibes, the atheist movement. So saying that rejecting most gods makes you an atheist is as stupid as saying you have only one job, so you are unemployed. Atheists and logic never go hand in hand. He said faith, not knowledge. But that's a false dichotomy fallacy. I said, tell me how you know logic is reliable. You can't prove it is, can you? Because to even try is to do circular reasoning depending on the thing that you're trying to prove is reliable. So when it all boils down, knowledge is based on faith. So not all faith is illogical, as you wish. I said you're a hypocrite to say that when you have blind faith in the ultimate origin of genius being mindlessness. So you're more insane than someone who believes in alchemy of lead into gold, which is merely metal to metal. Far less miraculous than the nonsense you need to be real if God weren't the ultimate origin, such as of our ability to reason self. So Il Giuro, or Il Juro, not sure what language this would be. Il Giuro said, maybe Italian? They don't only so I said this, and he's like, that makes some sense. Later he says, unbelief is usually the opposite of belief. The opposite of doubt is usually certainty. How can you have knowledge without certainty? How can you know that there's a God? Now, if you believe there's a God, but you're not sure, that means you're hoping. More on that later. He said, even if belief is a polar opposite of doubt, few people have lack of doubt. Later he says that all I do is block people. Yeah, that's why I let him post. That's right. Yeah, sure. So he says I'm never logical. Yeah, sure. And then as for my challenge to him explaining if it's rational or not to believe that a cat walked on a keyboard to type his atheist propaganda unintentionally, he said, I think that's a rational assumption so far. Notice he says terms like I think and so far and seems like. He's afraid of commitment. Typical. So again, you can pause to see what he says if you want to read everything he says. But again, I usually quote everything that I'm responding to, so it's kind of redundant to read everything they say. But there you go, just in case you want to know. 99% belief means doubt, which means they don't really believe, they just hope. Belief and hope coincide, of course. If you have belief, you have hope. But if you have hope, then you can also have some doubt. Even if it's like 50% doubt, 50% belief, then you have hope. But it's better to just say they have hope if they have some doubt. Because if you, like with the example I gave of the cop putting someone in handcuffs, they don't really believe that they're honest if they keep them in the handcuffs, even if they say that they believe in them. That means they have some doubt. If they have some doubt, that means they don't really believe, and therefore their actions will correspond to that, which is why agnostics live like atheists. They don't live as if God exists, except some who in some ways do act as if God exists, but deep down they don't really believe because they have doubt. So they're just gambling in that case. They're not sure, they say, so they have doubt, and that means they don't really believe. So few having certainty is irrelevant. When people say they believe, they're generally lying because they have some doubt. What they should say is, I don't believe, but I want to believe. That's what they should say. It's gullible to take people at their word. So there's a spectrum of how much doubt people have, but some don't doubt, although it doesn't fit his agenda where he wishes everyone doubted. I used to doubt when I was younger due to ignorance. For example, a long time ago, I didn't know how to deal with kangaroos from Noah's Ark getting to Australia. But now I know how the Bible deals with them, as explained in my video on how the Bible teaches Pangaya, many centuries before atheists agreed with the Bible. Took you a while. So he said, believing that someone is honest is not a reason to let them go if you were a cop. That just means that they've convinced me, not that they didn't do it. But if you were convinced, then you would let them go. How can you say, I believe that you're innocent, but I'm going to keep you in chains? That's nonsense. If you have the power to let them go, if you know that if you believe 100% without a doubt that they're innocent, then that means you know they're innocent. In which case, you let them go. You're not going to keep them as if they were not innocent. Actions speak louder than words, atheist. So then he says that all I do is block comments and that all I do is huff and puff. That's what he's doing right now. You're willfully blind. I don't just talk as you do. I block insulters and people who want to mislead others if I wish to do so, which isn't wrong. Your doctrine of free speech is nonsense. Liars deserve their tongues cut off. I don't need to preserve your lies. I clearly allow you to challenge me over and over again until I get tired of it. So I'm not afraid of challenges, as you wish. Your narrative about me with your insinuation is obviously false. I'm not a coward. I take on all of you at once. It's easy because you're all paper tigers. Anyone can do what I'm doing. So, because they're all paper tigers who run from many of my points. Here I said your blind faith and genius is having originated from mindlessness. But actually he does later on, or he did cover this point or try to deal with it. But I hadn't seen that comment of his until after I said this. Regardless, it's true that he runs away from points. For example, well, you'll see. I pointed out how that's more magical, etc., etc., etc. And when atheists have political power, they silence the opposition, as in North Korea. No, they don't call their leader a literal god. So an atheist, such as the ones on Reddit, who banned me for saying that Huns weren't atheists, are the ones who suppress the truth, not me. He said that I'm never logical. You're not fit to judge. Again, from my description. Atheism is the belief, the blind faith, that genius, the ability to reason, originated from mindlessness. So genius comes from mindlessness. That's nonsense. That's the most dumb thing you can believe about anything. That's alchemy to an absurd extreme. Mindlessness creates mind. Negative A equals A. That's a contradiction of logic. Atheists don't accept logic. That's absurdity to an absurd extreme, but that's atheism. What do you know about validity and logic? When you throw logic out the window, contradicting the law of identity, you believe that reason itself originated from the lack of reason, equivalent to saying that negative A equals A. Anti-logic. Atheists are all anti-logic, except babies. They're innocent. They don't know better. But then they grow up. As for this, he didn't answer my question. I asked him, would it be rational to believe a cat typed what you did? Would it be rational as a yes or no question? But he changed the question. I didn't ask him, does it seem irrational? No. I asked him, is it irrational? But he wanted to move the goalpost to seems. So a cat seems like an irrational assumption, he says, even if there is a possibility of a cat typing his comments. So he didn't answer, would it be rational? He's afraid to say that it's irrational because I can use that against atheism. He knows that. So he didn't answer the question. He's a coward. So here you go. One of the atheists here already checkmated, but I continue with him. One more chance to unequivocally answer, and I've been waiting for a while. I don't want to wait forever to make the video, because I know they can't answer it even if they try. Or if they do answer it, it's a trap question, so they're gonna... That's why he doesn't answer it, because it's a trap question. So I told him I plan to do this video as a record of atheist dishonesty and atheist cowardice on display for anyone to see. Every day atheists give me more material. Then he's like, agnostics in some cases claim to believe in God. I'm just repeating their claim. Yeah, gullibly. Actions speak louder than words. Claiming belief despite having a doubt makes you a liar. If you say that, maybe they're also lying to themselves. Yes, I believe in God. If you doubt God, that means you don't believe in God. So to have a little bit of doubt means you don't really believe in God. And then he's like, talk to them about their logic. Use that word loosely. Some people claim to be transgender Muslims or reincarnations of a cow. Their subjectivity doesn't beat the fact that actions overrule words. Doubt overrules the claim of trust. So then he's like, A equals A. Yeah. As I already explained, atheists like him don't accept that A equals A. They believe that A equals not A, because they believe that mindlessness equaled mind when there used to be no mind before, supposedly. And then he's like, all evidence suggests that logic is logical. I was like, rational to assume is not proof, is it? I asked him if he could prove that logic is reliable, but he can't prove it. So you can't prove that reason is reliable, then you trust in it, you have faith in it, which proves that faith isn't always blind. Now, part 2 later, God willing, and I plan to cover the other atheists I checkmate on this page.